Good morning again, class. This is Staff Sergeant Perry with Marine Corps Engineer School. On to our turret terminal. So what a turret terminal is, it's primarily used on relays and other things that just have numerous sets of contacts is normally what you'll see a turret terminal be used for. So again, if you don't have one of these, just go ahead and ask for one of your instructors for one of the turret terminals. We're using a binder clip again today, so we're going to go ahead and place it in our binder clip. You guys can go ahead and place them in one of your helping hands. I like to make sure it's nice and vertical, so that way it's going to be a lot easier for me to place it once we get there. So what's special about this one is I take my rounded nose pliers or my bull nose pliers, and I take my, again, previously tinned wire. The thing with this tinned wire, when I'm doing this terminal, I like to give myself a little bit more wire than usual. I would say this is a bit much, but I like to just tin more than I would normally do doing any other kind of terminal. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pliers, find that about proper insulation gap like we've been talking about 2 times the diameter of my gauge, and go just maybe ever so slightly higher than that to then create my bend. So I'm going to squeeze the pliers really nice and tight, and I'm trying to create a 180-degree bend with my wire here. So how I like to do it, I'll just take the top, press my finger all the way across, and keep pulling both just ever so slightly, and I should get my 180 degrees. Looks like I need to go a little bit more, and so there we are. So from here, after I get my bend and I make sure that my wire isn't touching my insulation, because that would be really bad, it wouldn't be conductive anymore, I'm going to go ahead and flux up my wire. So again, with this specific one, I like to add a little bit more flux than you would normally use using a different kind of terminal. You don't need to glop it on there, but I like to almost glop it on there because this flux is going to act as sort of an adhesive. Not necessarily an adhesive, but it's just going to help it stick to that base of my turret terminal. So when I'm placing it on my base, I like to slide it across and make sure that I get it to where I can see it sitting at the very bottom of my terminal, bottom there, and then it's connected to the center post. So we're going to go ahead and now we can properly solder this thing on. So I'll take my solder, take my soldering iron, and again, following the same steps we've learned in our previous videos, the wool, the sponge. And I know what you're saying next. What should we do first? The heat bridge. If you missed it, it's okay, but the heat bridge is what you do first. So don't forget your heat bridge. So go ahead and apply our heat bridge. Doesn't need to be too much solder here. So again, the same rules follow. We want to apply that heat first, and then we can apply that solder. So I'm going to apply the heat to the top, and then the solder to the bottom, because that solder is going to go ahead and rise towards that heat. So applying the heat, waiting for the color change on my terminal of the flux, apply some solder to my wire. Go ahead and keep that heat on until I see that solder almost form to it. We should be about good right there. So I'm just kind of waiting the solder to cool off right now so I can show you guys my example a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead, use my pliers, taking it off my clip. So the next step we need to do, so first of all, I'm sure that it's already kind of stuck there. So I know that I probably have the right application of heat and solder, at least enough to where it's going to connect. The next thing I want to do is cut off this little excess wire here. Like we said in the beginning, I did an awful lot, but that's okay that I did a lot because now I can just cut it off. I don't want that excess to be there because I don't want this wire that's conductive through this one to get into other contacts that are next to my relays, to get into anywhere else. So I'm going to go ahead and get it to as close as a terminal as I can using my diagonal pliers. And we're just going to cut this off. So the next thing we're looking for when we're using this one, we'll use a different example just so you guys can see it a little bit more clearly. So what we're looking for is, again, that insulation gap we've been talking about this whole time. You can see at the bottom there. And then we're really looking for the solder to be spread completely around almost evenly as it could be made. And I'm looking for a concave motion in that solder. So where that wire is touching the base of my turret and the actual center post of it. As long as all those things are happening and I can't pull this off my wire, we're gonna call that a good wire. We might just nitpick for you guys a little bit. So like we said in all the previous ones before, do about 5 or 6 of these. Make sure you get it down pat and you practice it really well. Come show the instructor. We'll kind of judge you, evaluate you, let you know how you're doing. And you can again ask any of us, any of the questions you guys have, put them in the YouTube comments, whatever you guys need to do. Thank you.